We're driving a 2024 Hyundai IONIQ 6. It's an all-electric sedan. For 2023, the IONIQ 6 won World Car of the Year. Coming up, we're going to see if it deserves that title. But first, interior.
One thing they're doing in this interior that I cannot recall another manufacturer doing is that they're using a lot of texture and then they're using light to highlight that texture. It makes it feel really special. And then there's all this pixelated texture right here.
Ribs and Pixels. That's a pretty good name for like a barbecue restaurant that's also 80s arcade themed.
That's a great idea.
Look anywhere and you can find those little squares. I had to explain to my daughter what a pixel is. Darn kids these days with their high resolution video gaming. Up here, you were like, what are these things? These are the spots where in other markets where they allow side cameras instead of mirrors, you have little screens. The first time I drove the Hyundai IONIQ 6 was in Seoul. Yeah, it has those little screens there. I prefer the mirrors.
There is a lot of wonderful usable space for storage. Underneath this console, there's a huge area large enough for a purse. Very wide, long storage area here.
We have some disagreement. I'm describing it as an ultra sauce pocket. Sweetie doesn't think it's sauce appropriate.
How are you fishing your sauces out of there?
You don't have to fish it out, baby. You just line them up and get dunking. There's a very obvious phone zone front and center with adjacent power port and wireless phone charging. In the center here, we've got the window controls, and for some people this might be a little perplexing, but for us as Bronco owners, this feels like the appropriate spot for window controls. And then we got a decently sized center console hold here with 2 more USB-C ports. Oh, and then just like a little place to get junk collected here.
Oh look, some junk already.
Now the door storage I find a little problematic in that it's fairly thin, so you can't fit a bottle in there, I don't think. Nope.
I couldn't.
Once this junk area gets full, just jam your junk over there.
Okay.
Up front here, how do you find seat comfort?
It's on the firm side, but I like that it offers enough lateral support for the zippy driving I imagine you'll be doing today.
And even though it is firm, there is a nice lack of pressure points. Obviously I fit fine up front here, but as you may have noticed, there's a very sleek design and that has implications. If I move to the back seat behind my preferred front seat position, knee room is outstanding. Headroom is not.
I do like that there is a flat floor back there so that the middle passenger can put their feet flat.
Another nicety in the second row, standard vents. Moving to the cargo area, we've got 11.2 cubic feet of space available. For perspective, that is notably smaller than what you find in a Honda Accord. Total space isn't vast, but there are standard 60-40 split rear seats.
I'm sure to get the seat to actually fold, I had to come around the side and lower it.
There's also a little underfloor storage area where you can stow your charging paraphernalia or your other paraphernalia. Really, my biggest complaint about the cargo area is that it does not contain a spare tire. There's just a little tire repair kit, and I can attest, if you slash a tire and it's not repairable, you're gonna be stuck there for a very long time. Because this is an electric car, is there a frunk? Yes, but barely. There's 0.5 cubic feet of space underneath the hood. I guess a crepe would go really well there. But don't get too aggressive with your Nutella. Hey Nutella fan, how do you find climbing in and out of the Hyundai IONIQ 6?
I think it's pretty easy because this car is another low car.
It is. And then what about getting a child seat installed?
The latch points don't have a cover, but they are nestled rather deep in the seat, so I actually did have trouble getting it installed. On a positive note though, there is a lot of knee space, so a rear-facing child seat should fit well there.
As for safety, the NHTSA has not rated the IONIQ 6. However, the IIHS has named it a top safety pick plus. As for active safety, there is a full suite of driver assist, lane keeping assist, automatic emergency braking with pedestrian and bicyclist detection. There are 6 airbags, full speed adaptive cruise control as well, and blind spot monitoring. What do we think, family? Is the Hyundai IONIQ 6 family friendly?
You could definitely make this work for a family, but I think the lack of cargo space is keeping us from labeling it family friendly.
Yep, rear window test. Almost all the way down. Boop. Our Armrest test. Driving in a comfortable 8 and 4, I have access to both inboard and outboard armrests without too much stretch. Kind of like the seats, there's a firmness to it, but just enough give. I'm gonna go 75% inboard, 75% outboard. Hey, would you like to see more videos like this where we review cars as a family, plus the occasional helicopter adventure? If you would, you're welcome to subscribe. And if you want early access to our videos and you just want to support us in an extra loving way, feel free to join our channel. Did that make it weird? Nah, it's not weird. We love you. Style! Hyundai describes the IONIQ 6 as a streamliner, and to me that feels like a gimmicky name, but also a very accurate name.
I love the style of this because it's my favorite kind of futurism, retro futurism. It's such a sleek and modern looking vehicle, especially in this color. It looks so good.
That sleekness is not just style oriented. This has a 0.22 drag coefficient, which is extremely slippery, which aids EV range. And then the details align with the rest of the IONIQ range. Both the IONIQ 5 and the 6 have that pixelated theme, and I think it's really fun, and it's so impossibly thorough too. Inside, outside, everywhere, those little things pop up. I also like that the little shark fin antenna has that translucent quality that's also found here on the inside and the door panels. And oftentimes I don't like retracting door handles, but these do present themselves pretty quickly when you walk up, so I don't find them a pain to use. And if you're wondering about the color, it is Gravity Gold Matte, which looks really cool now. I have no idea how this would wind up looking after a winter here in the mountains, but hey, matte paint, looks cool, right? And if you really like matte finishes, you might appreciate these Micah spec Flying Eyes Aviators. They're the Kestrel frames with mirrored rose lenses. The lenses are scratch-resistant polycarbonate, and the patented Resilimide frames are flexible, light, and incredibly thin. All of that makes them the perfect eyewear in a helicopter when you have noise-canceling headsets, or just the most comfortable eyewear you'll ever wear in your daily life. If you're ready for aviation-grade eyewear, click the link in the description below, use the promo code Micah to save 10% on Flying Eyes. Overall, we're feeling positive sentiment about the style of the Hyundai IONIQ 6. Simultaneously, I've had two very good friends say that they absolutely hate it. But what do you think? Do you like the IONIQ 6 or do you dislike it? Or maybe some nuanced opinion somewhere in between? However you feel, tell us in the comment section. Let's move to In Motion. I find the ride quality of the IONIQ 6 to be quite comfortable. I think it's quiet in here, which is especially impressive given the lack of engine noise. I don't really like the feel coming back through the steering wheel. I'm not getting a ton of information, but it does track precisely beyond that feel thing. When I'm going from a straight ahead position to turning, there's this dead space in the middle, which isn't problematic at slower speeds, but I was driving at a somewhat elevated speed, and as I started to enter corners, there was just the briefest delay before I started to get that turn, and it was a little disconcerting until I got used to it. One thing I thought that was funny is that the turning circle for the Hyundai IONIQ 6 is actually slightly larger than the Nissan Pathfinder we reviewed not that long ago. A real bright spot for me with the IONIQ 6 is the brakes. Let's see if I can come to a smooth stop. Yeah, very smooth stop. Now I can do that with the brake pedal if I want, but we also have paddles here on the steering wheel that can control various levels of regen. Now if I pull maximum regen, it activates I pedal. My feet aren't touching any pedals, and then let's see what happens.
Very smooth.
What an incredibly smooth stop. Polite golf clap from the back. Going to the opposite end of the spectrum, they say that 0 to 60 in the IONIQ 6 that we're driving, which is the dual motor long range version, is about 5 seconds. Whee!
Whoa.
That feels good. And now let's see what happens when we go into sport mode. Kiddo, are you ready for sport mode? Yeah. Do you think you can handle sport mode?
Yeah!
Let's get sport moded! Yeah. Woo!
That's kind of like a Disneyland ride, kind of.
That's the kind of fun you can have in an electric car. All right, that's what I think, but what does Sweetie think? Evie's at the wheel. How do you find steering the IONIQ 6?
Even I noticed it's not like exciting to steer the IONIQ 6, but it is going where I'm asking it to. By size, I like driving this around. It's not so low that I fear driving over things,
Now, I actually will take issue with that. It is 5.6 inches of ground clearance. That's pretty darn low. I bet if you encounter the wrong big pine cone,
oh, yeah,
you might wind up whacking it.
Oh, you didn't tell me we were talking about pine cones here.
We have big pine cones here. How do you find visibility?
Even though I am short and I sometimes have trouble seeing out of vehicles, this one, it's not an issue. Visibility is good all around.
Come to a complete stop. When you're ready, child, go ahead and count mommy down from 3.
3, 2, 1.
No, my.
Is that enough power for you?
Yes, that's plenty. Thank you.
When you were driving around, did you feel like you had enough when you needed it?
I did, but it didn't feel unmanageable. I enjoyed how speedy this was.
This was empowering, not intimidating?
Exactly.
We don't live where you'd ever have to make a lane change. But if you did, using that turn signal there, you get that little view in the gauge cluster which shows you your blind spot too, which is kind of a nice bit of visibility enhancement. If you were in the market for an EV sedan, would you be comfortable driving a Hyundai IONIQ 6?
I think I would enjoy driving a Hyundai IONIQ 6.
My goodness, that is strong praise. I'm getting back in the driver's seat. Overall, we have a well-sorted driving electric experience. Heading onward to remarks. Remark number 1, infotainment. We've got dual 12.3-inch screens.
The fact that both screens are under the same glass really does give this an elevated, futuristic feel. The infotainment system is easy to use. One detail that I thought was interesting that I hadn't seen before was that instead of a tuning knob, there's a tuning lever, but it actually worked well to either select one by one or hold it down and quickly scroll through options.
That does draw attention to something. Even though it is very much geared towards the future, we haven't given up completely on tactile buttons and knobs.
I do wish that they had buttons for the seat heater and the steering wheel heater. I think they've put it in the screen to give it more of a cleaner look, but I like it when it's close at hand.
Now, 2 bits of technology that I also like: vehicle to load. It's like a little adapter that you can put in the charge port, and then you can use it to charge other things. E-bike, popcorn maker, bounce house, whatever you want to power with electricity, you can use your vehicle to do the powering. The Limited trim also has the smart park feature that Hyundai is known for, so you can move the vehicle in and out of very tight parking spaces. And hey, it's easy enough. A child can do it. I'm moving a car with a button. My parents are so irresponsible. One thing I experienced on my drive home on the freeway is highway driving assist. And I thought it did a really good job staying within its lane with sophisticated steering behavior. Same deal with keeping distance between me and the vehicle ahead. It is a hands-on system, but it worked well enough that I was like, all right, you do it. I'll just kind of be here along for the ride. Last note, the key's all scratched up. I bet it looked pretty cool when it was new. Not so much now after 7,200 miles of journalist use. And now it's our daughter's time to shine. Kiddo, tell us, what's your favorite feature of the IONIQ 6?
I like the light inside the door, the sauce pocket.
Did you like choosing through the different colors, kiddo? What was your favorite?
Probably this hot pink that's on right now.
Thanks for sharing your favorite feature, kiddo. All right, let's talk engine choices. There are 2 batteries. The standard range version only comes with rear wheel drive. Then there's the long range version, which has a 77.4 kilowatt hour battery pack that comes with single motor rear wheel drive or dual motor all wheel drive. For charging, because it has an 800 volt architecture, the IONIQ 6 can go up to 80% charge in only 18 minutes, provided you find a 350 kilowatt charger. With a slower 50 kilowatt charger, it'll take about an hour to get the smaller battery up to full charge, and about an hour 15 with the larger battery. Sweetie,
Yeah?
can I give you a trim recommendation?
Yes.
Our trim recommendation is which trim will give you the essential features you would regret not getting, but at the lowest possible price. We're going to suggest going with the SE long-range rear-wheel drive. $3,900 over the base standard range SE trim, but that is cheap for a massive increase in range from 240 miles to 361 miles. In fact, the SE long-range trim offers the best range of the entire IONIQ 6 lineup, plus it includes all the essentials you'd need, like heated front seats, an 8-way power driver's seat, dual zone climate control, those dual 12.3-inch screens, and smart key access. Total price, $45,500. For the competition, we got names like the Tesla Model 3, which has a $39,000 base price, at least as of when we're making this video, plus it's eligible for the federal government's $7,500 federal tax incentive. The Hyundai IONIQ 5 is a really interesting one because it's mechanically nearly identical to the IONIQ 6, but it offers more cargo space and more commodious rear seats. Another interesting one might be the Ford Mustang Mach-E. And if you're curious what we thought about the Ford Mustang Mach-E, click right up here. Going back to the original premise of the video, this won the 2023 World Car of the Year. Do we think it deserves it? To my mind, this is very, very similar to the IONIQ 5, just less practical. So I guess it depends on what you value, but I think because we're a family, we're a little more pragmatically oriented. If I was in charge of World Car, I don't think this would get it, but I do applaud the effort. Hey, did we miss any remarks? If so, tell us in the comment section. Synopsis! In thinking about the essence of the Hyundai IONIQ 6, it's clever and innovative, but not necessarily better than the version that preceded it. To us, it is the science of sleep of EVs. Sorry, Michelle Gondry, but Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind was the better movie. Family, I think we've done a good job reviewing the Hyundai IONIQ 6. May I have a 5? Can I whack the camera again? I can. 5. And you! Come get your high five. Bam!